Every hour of the day give vigorous attention, as a Roman and as a man, to the performance of the task in hand, with precise analysis, with unaffected dignity, with human sympathy, with dispassionate justice, and to vacating your mind from all its other thoughts. And you will achieve this vacation if you perform each action as if it were the last of your life, freed, that is, from all lack of aim, from all passion-led deviation, from the ordinance of reason, from pretense, from love of self, from dissatisfaction with what fate has dealt you. You see how few things a man needs to master for the settled flow of the God-fearing life. The gods themselves ask nothing more of one who keeps these observances. That was from Book 2 of the Meditations, and today's Stoic lesson, Episode 14, Stoic School of 100, with myself, William Mulligan, author of the Everyday Stoic. Today's episode is powered by Huel. Let's jump into the episode. Today, I'll be reading the 12 greatest passages from Marcus Aurelius. This is what I believe, after reading this for over a decade, are the greatest passages that can change your life. I'll then explain what this book is and how it came to be and how it ended up as this book that sits in my hand. Because for over 2,000 years, it has changed a great deal. So, discard all else and secure these few things. Remind yourself too that each of us lives only in the present moment, a mere fragment of time. The rest is life past or uncertain future. Sure, life is a small thing, and small the cranny of the earth in which we live it. Small too even the longest fame thereafter, which is itself subject to a succession of little men who will quickly die, and have no knowledge even of themselves, let alone of those long dead. Men seek retreats for themselves, in the country, by the sea and the hills, and you yourself are particularly prone to this yearning. But all this is quite unphilosophical. When it is open to you at any time you want to retreat into yourself, no retreat offers someone more quiet and relaxation than that into his own mind, especially if he can dip into thoughts there which puts him at immediate and complete ease. And by ease, I simply mean a well-ordered life. So, constantly give yourself this retreat and renew yourself. The doctrines you will visit there should be few and fundamental, sufficient at one meeting to wash away all your pain and send you back free of resentment at what you must rejoin. They cannot admire you for intellect, granted, but there are many other qualities of which you cannot say, but that is not the way I am made. So display those virtues which are wholly in your own power: integrity, dignity, hard work, self-denial, contentment, frugality, kindness, independence, simplicity, discretion, magnanimity. Do you not see how many virtues you can already display without any excuse of lack of talent or aptitude? And yet you are still content to lag behind? Or does the fact that you have no inborn talent oblige you to grumble, to scrimp, to toady, to blame your poor body, to suck up, to brag, to have your mind in such turmoil? No, by heaven it does not. You could have got rid of all this long ago and only be charged, if charge there is, with being rather slow and dull of comprehension. And yet, even this can be worked on, unless you ignore or welcome your stupidity. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing, in that it stands ready for what comes and is not thrown by the unforeseen. Erase the impressions on your mind by constantly saying to yourself, "It is in my power now to keep this soul of mine free from any vice or passion or any other disturbances at all. But seeing all things for what they are, I can treat them on their own merits. Remember this power which nature gives you." Do not despise death. Welcome it, rather, as one further part of nature's will. Our very dissolution is just like all the other natural processes which life's seasons bring, like youth and old age, growth and maturity, development of teeth and beard and grey hair, insemination, pregnancy, and childbirth. In the educated attitude to death, then, there is nothing superficial or demanding or disdainful, simply awaiting it as one of the functions of nature. And just as you may now be waiting for your child, your wife carries to come out the womb, so you should look forward to the time when your soul will slip this bodily sheath. My soul, will you ever be good, simple, individual, bare brighter than the body that covers you? Will you ever taste the disposition to love and affection? Will you ever be complete and free of need, missing nothing, desiring nothing, live or lifeless, for the enjoyment of pleasure, or time for longer enjoyment or amenity of place, space, and climate, or good company? No. Will you not rather be satisfied with your present state and take pleasure in all that presently is yours? Will you not convince yourself that all your experience comes from the gods? Not all is well and all will be well for you. All that the gods see fit to give you now and hereafter, in the maintenance of that perfect being which is good and just and beautiful, which generates all things, sustains and contains all things, embraces all things as they dissolve into the generation of others like them. Will you ever be such as to share the society of gods and men without any criticism of them or condemnation by them? Have I done something for the common good? Then I too have benefited. Have this thought always ready to hand, and no stopping. Mortal man, you have lived as a citizen in this great city. What matter if this life is 5 or 50 years? The laws of the city apply equally to all. So what is there to fear in your dismissal from the city? This is no tyrant or corrupt judge who dismisses you, but the very same nature that brought you in. It is like the officer who engaged a comic actor, dismissing him from the stage. But I have not played my 5 acts, only 3. True, but in life, 3 acts can be the whole play. Completion is determined by that being who caused first your composition and now your dissolution. You have no part in either causation. Go then in peace. The God who lets you go is at peace with you. That final passage that I just read, that is the last entry into the diary of Marcus Aurelius. A quick word from our sponsor, Huel. I really like Huel. When I was writing my book, I was using Huel to power me through every single day. When I had my daily greens, when I had my meals, when I had my shakes, it stopped me from going to the shop, buying a load of rubbish, buying a load of unhealthy food, wasting loads of money. And these things do add up. Those quick journeys to the shop every day, the money adds up, the unhealthy foods add up, the wasted time adds up. So if I ever get those cravings, I grab a Huel and it fills my cravings. I feel good, it tastes delicious, it's quick and easy. And if you have any interest in the Huel products, then check the link in the description. Let's get back to the episode. So the meditations of Marcus Aurelius were his personal diaries. They were the diary of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who was the last great emperor of Rome. He served during 161 to 180 AD during a time known as the Pax Romana, the golden age of the Roman Empire, the great peace. It was a beautiful time. And his death marked the downfall of the Roman Empire. He wrote much of the 12 books that are contained. So it's comprised of 12 books. He wrote much of it during his military campaigns, and each of them loosely follow a theme which is inspired by Stoicism. So I'm going to read to you Oh, and also this book was never supposed to be published. It was for his own well-being. He used it to cope with his daily life on how to be a good person. He wrote little mantras and quotes for himself to read every day, for him to become the best version of himself. So how did the Emperor's book go from his personal diary to a book in my hand? Well, the early history of the Meditations is unknown, but the earliest clear mention by another writer dating from the early 10th century, the historian Herodian, writing in mid-3rd century, references Marcus's literary legacy, stating he was concerned with all aspects of excellence, and in his love of ancient literature, he was second to no man, Roman or Greek. This is evident from all his sayings and writings which have come down to us. This may refer to the Meditations. The Historia Augusta's biography of Avidius Cassius, thought to be from the 4th century, records that before Marcus set out on the Marcomannic Wars, he was asked to publish his Precepts of Philosophy. Instead, for 3 days, he discussed the books of his exhortations one after another. The first direct mention of the Meditations comes from Aurelius of Caesarea. And this is in 860 to 935. He was a bishop and great collector of manuscripts before 907. He sent a volume of the Meditations to Demetrius, who's Archbishop of Heraclea, and with a letter stating, I have had some time an old copy of Emperor Marcus Aurelius' most formidable book, so old indeed that it is altogether falling to pieces. This I have had copied, and I am able to hand down to posterity in its new dress. Aurelius also mentions the work in marginal notes to the books of Lucian, referring to passages in the treatise to himself. The title was used in the manuscript from the first print edition, was made in the 16th century. Aurelius' copy has since vanished, but is thought to be the ancestors of the surviving manuscripts. The next mention of the Meditations is in the Suda, which was published in the late 10th century. The Suda calls the works a directing of his own life by Marcus the Emperor in 12 books, which is marking the first mention of the book being divided into 12. Around 1150, a grammarian of Constantinople quotes passages from Book 4 and 5, attributing them to Marcus Aurelius. Around 200 years later, a writer said that Marcus Antoninus composed a book for the education of his son, Marcus, full of all the worldly experience and instructions. The Meditations is thereafter quoted in many Greek compilations from the 14th to the 16th centuries, particularly after the fall of Constantinople in 1453, as it was among the Greek texts reintroduced by fleeing scholars to European intellectual circles. And then Wilhelm Holzmann first translated the Meditations into Latin in 1558, and then the first English translation, 1742, by Francis Hutcheson and James Moore. And then in 2002, we get the best translation of the Meditations, which is the Gregory Hayes translation. And I say that because everyone always says it's the best translation. But in 2006 comes along Martin Hammond, and he writes, my favorite translation. I think this is the best translation. The Martin Hammond Penguin Classic Edition. My favorite translation. And here today, 1,000 years later, you have me reading the same words that the emperor wrote in his diary. And I think that's fascinating. That this man, his advice for himself on to be a great emperor, ruling during the time of the Antonine Plague, the Marcomannic Wars, the death of 9 of his own children, his own sickness, a struggle on his life when there was assassination attempts, all these things. He wrote this advice for him to be a good person. And it survived today. And, you know, Emperor Marcus Aurelius from a young age was studying under the greatest tutors, the greatest philosophical tutors that the world had to offer. He was doing the Greek agoge training, which is like Spartan training. He was a great mind, a great character. And it's all here for you to hear, listen to in English by me, William Mulligan. Hopefully that clears up. You understand what the book is. It's the best. I love this book. I really do recommend it. If you want an introduction in Stoicism, I'd buy this book 100%. You can read this every day. I'd buy my book just to get a grasp of it, understanding of what you're reading and how to incorporate it into your life. But this is just incredible. It's remarkable. So thank you for listening to day 14 of 100 Stoic School with myself. Was it day 14? With myself, William Mulligan. Day 14 is over. I hope you're learning a lot. Thank you for listening. If you've been here since day one, please leave a comment. I want to see all the day oneers. Hopefully you're becoming more stoic. I'd love to hear the growth that you're having. Thank you for listening. If you want to support me, give me a like, give me a comment, give me a subscribe. And if you're on streaming platforms, this really helps leaving reviews. I've got 12 5-star reviews on Spotify. That's awesome. It's doing really well on Apple. And if you really want to help me, you want to help someone you love or someone you care about or someone you hate, because it's nice to be nice to the people we hate, because we can help break that cycle of hate. Invite them to Stoic School, get them involved. I have short form Stoic School on Instagram, minute long videos with the same topics. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day.